If you are one of the many people working from home, chances are you've been on a few video conference calls. For some people, video conferencing has been a way of life, but for others, this is totally new territory. In this video, I want to share with you a few simple etiquette rules for video conferencing so that you can come across as polished and professional as you do in real life. Rule number 1, test your gear beforehand. So before the conference even starts, pull up the platform that you're going to use and make sure that your camera and mic are working. Each platform will be a little bit different, but overall there's places where you can go to test your mic and make sure that the sound is okay. Additionally, you're going to want to know where to find the mute button and where to find the video on and off button. And I think it's also a good idea to know how to leave the meeting. The second tip I have for you is to make sure that you have a good internet connection. Oftentimes, if you have a spotty internet connection, people will cut in and out, especially if you're using video, and you'll just see a frozen screen, or people will get all and you won't be able to know what's going on. So in order to avoid this, make sure that you place yourself and your computer in a spot that gets really good reception. Remember when I said make sure you know where your mute button is? Well, when you're on a call with more than a few people, it's a really good idea. No, it's not a good idea. You must put your mute button on, because often what happens, it can create an echo, there'll be weird sounds in the background, and it becomes extremely distracting to everyone on the call. So be mindful and make sure your mute button is on. Try and find a quiet location where no one else is around to do your video conference. You don't want to be distracted by someone cooking in the kitchen or your boyfriend trying to watch a YouTube video. You want to be as distraction free as possible. You also want to not interrupt those around you and have them have to listen to a work call. If you can't be alone, then I highly suggest putting on some headphones. Pay attention to how you look in the frame. This means you want to make sure that your camera angle and the distance between you and the camera is appropriate, and you want to make sure that your background is set up appropriately. I have another video on how to look better in video conference calls, and I will link that in the description below. Because your face is more visible and isolated on a video screen versus as if you were sitting in a large crowd of people, paying attention to how you're behaving on camera is really, really important. So be mindful of what you're doing when you're on your call. Don't be sitting on your couch or laying down or whatever. You want to be as professional and polished as you can possibly be. A small side note here, read the room. Even though you're physically not around people, people still want to be around people who are like themselves, right? So if no one else has their video screen on and you're not running if no one else has their video screen on and you're not running or hosting the meeting, then go ahead and turn your camera off. Another tip is that you can adjust yourself to the level of the other people on the call if video conferencing is on. Now, I'm not saying go and mimic somebody who's doing a bad angle, but I am saying try and bring yourself down to the level or up to the level as other people on the call. It's very subtle, but people like people who are like themselves, right? So just kind of be mindful of how other people are behaving on the call, assuming that it is still in that professional manner. Join the call 2 to 3 minutes early. I feel like when you come in right on time or a little late to a video conference, it's really distracting, and sometimes the host hasn't turned off the notification bell, and so what happens is that you'll be dinging as you enter the room and it'll just be really distracting. For larger meetings, and I think 10 people or more, try and use chat features or the raise hand feature to ask a question. You don't want to disrupt the flow of the video conference. And likewise, if you are hosting a meeting, give people an opportunity to ask questions. Either during the meeting, you can say, does anybody have any questions? And give it some time for people to respond. Or you can set the tone and say, please hold your questions to the end and we'll get to them then. This ensures a smoother video conferencing experience for everybody. Those are my tips for you. I hope you found them helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Are there any kind of video conference pet peeves that you have? Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and help me out by clicking the thumbs up button below.